This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's number one show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sob like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? It's your boy. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? I'm not totally upset about this loss. The Knicks lose tonight, 117-114 to the Memphis Grizzlies. I'm not totally upset because they played what probably is the second best team in the league. But what does get you upset is that, again, and I was hoping that we had got over this hump, but again, we build a 15-point lead and we cannot close it out, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope that this is not, I'm not trying to put any bad luck out there, right? But I hope that this is not a premonition of our season, that you can't close it out. Whether or not the Knicks make the play-in, I want them to close out the season strong. Now, they played a good basketball game. I'm not going to, I can't go crazy about that. They didn't play a good fourth quarter, obviously. They played a terrible fourth quarter. The first 3 quarters, and this is the Knicks. This is the Knicks. They get, very rare is it that the Knicks give you a full basketball game. There's always a lapse somewhere. And tonight, the lapse came in the fourth quarter. It began at the end of the third quarter when they allowed the Memphis Grizzlies to go on a 6-0 run. Take a 15-point lead down to 9. You can't give a team like the Memphis Grizzlies, and it's not to say that they didn't have life, but you got a 15-point lead against this team. You got to close them out because you know they got a guy like Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr. playing good basketball. These guys are not going to stop. They're going to come at you, and they're going to come at you fast, just like they did. Just like they did, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks led after 34-30. They won the second quarter, 27-26. They came out after halftime and built a 15-point lead. 15-point lead, ladies and gentlemen. Then they come out, again, they give the game back by the, around the end of the third quarter. They give the game back, and then 31-18 in the fourth quarter. Ja Morant goes crazy in the fourth quarter. Not exactly, what he scored, like 16, 17 points in the fourth quarter, something like that. It's tough, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, it's hard to get too upset because you're playing one of the best teams in the league, in the Memphis Grizzlies, but you got a chance to win it. You got to win it, especially knowing the situation that the Knicks are in right now. Right now, the Knicks were within 3.5 games of the 10th seed coming into tonight's game. And after this loss to the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Atlanta Hawks won, the New York Knicks are now 4.5 games out of the 10th seed. And again, it's that imaginary line that we talked about coming into the game. I talked about it yesterday. That imaginary line, that They were 10 games below 500. You get this win, and now you're just 9 games below 500. And it keeps that ball rolling. It continues to snowball when that happens. Yeah, they still would have only been 3.5 games behind the Atlanta Hawks if they would have won tonight. But it would have kept the momentum going. Would have kept the momentum going. It is what it is. The Knicks couldn't pull it out. Big game from, Julius Randle played well for a good portion of the game. Right? Played well for a good portion of the game. He ended up with 36 points, 12 assists. 12 rebounds for Julius Randle, not 12 assists. 36 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists. He shot 40.7 from the field. That's what he ended up shooting. And then he shot 50% from the three-point line. He was 11 for 13 from the free throw line. He did miss 2 critical free throws. R.J. Barrett, sorry for the long pause. I have a habit of doing that. It happens every once in a while. But R.J. Barrett, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. He only shot 36% from the field and 16.7% from the three-point line. But you know what? When you have an assignment like Ja Morant, you can expect that it's going to take a little bit out of you on the other side of the floor. It's going to. That's a tough task. Really tough task. But still, 23 points for R.J. Barrett. Poor shooting, but 23 points. Alec Burks, 18 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. He shot 54% from the field and 40% from the three-point line. Alec Burks is beginning to pick up his play. Defensively, he might leave a little bit to be desired, but offensively, the Knicks need him right now. They need him. Emmanuel Quickly, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Mitchell Robinson, 10 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists for Mitchell Robinson tonight, 3 steals and 4 blocks. Really good game for Mitchell Robinson. Got into a little bit of foul trouble. Jericho Sims got a chance to get in the fourth quarter and, try to play some fourth quarter minutes. Not try to play, but play some fourth quarter minutes. Man, I hate to lose this basketball game because you had it. You had it. You could have won. The Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant, of course, 37 points from Ja Morant. 37 points and 8 assists. But you know what? He shot 42.4% from the field. It's okay. 33 shots, 37 points on 33 shots. He had to take a lot of shots. So did R.J. Barrett and Julius Randle, though. They both took a lot of shots tonight. But 33 field goal attempts from Ja Morant tonight. Shot 25% from the field. He was 8 for 10 from the free throw line. The Knicks did a decent job on Ja Morant. The thing is this. If you allow him to get out in transition, which he did some in the fourth quarter, it's going to be tough to stop the game. It's going to be tough to stop him. If you allow him to get out in transition, he puts on the Jets like no other guard in the league. And then he can get up. Jaren Jackson Jr., 13 points, 4 rebounds, 5 blocks for Jaren Jackson Jr. And in the fourth quarter, man, this kid was blocking everything it felt like. Julius Randle, R.J. Barrett. And not only was he blocking shots, but he was changing shots. You know what I mean? My man Tony Crow in the building. He was changing shots. He came up big in that fourth quarter, Jaren Jackson did. No doubt. No doubt about it, man. No doubt about it. More from the Memphis Grizzlies. Tyus Jones, he had 11 points. Brandon Clark had 10 points. For the most part, I thought the Knicks did a decent job against the Memphis Grizzlies for most of the night. They did a good enough job to build a 15-point lead. Just wasn't able to pull it out. Got to be able to pull it out. My man Tony, what's popping with you, brother? How you feeling, man? How you feeling? You there with us, Tony? I don't know if Tony is there with us. I see him on the screen. I don't know if he can hear us, though. Doesn't look like Tony can hear us. We'll wait until Tony is ready, and then we'll get him back up in here You know what I mean? Tony, just let me know when you're ready, Tone, and we'll get you back in, or just pull yourself back in when you're ready. But the New York Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, dropped one to the Memphis Grizzlies. In a game that the Knicks really needed to get. You know what I mean? Call me, ladies and gentlemen. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know how you feel about this game. 516-405-2246. All right? I want to get your thoughts on this game and, your outlook on the New York Knicks for the remainder of the season. I'm positive that they're going to continue to fight for that 10th seed, right? If you remember, me and Tony were talking about the Knicks need to go 5-1 3 times. Well, you know what? They're 3-1 over the first 5, over these first, 6. They can get 2 more games, then there you go. They're 5-1, and then that stretch starts all over again. All right? That stretch starts all over again. But, let's talk about Julius Randle. We're going to go down the line, talk about some of these guys and, the play that we're seeing from them. I'm going to tell you what I like about Julius Randle. And, he took 27 shots today. 27 shots to score 36 points. 27 shots, score 36. It's not terrible. But I like the way that he's playing. I like that he is playing aggressive basketball. You heard the announcer. I don't know if you heard the announcer, but I heard the announcer say that they're having a hard time stopping Julius Randle from getting inside, that he's playing aggressive, and they didn't have anyone to match his aggressiveness. I think maybe in the fourth quarter they did, But he is playing aggressive. He's been playing aggressive for a while. The past 3 or 4 games, he's really been playing aggressive basketball, aggressively going to the basket. And when Julius Randle goes to the basket with that type of aggression and the physicality in which he goes to the basket, it's hard to stop him. You know what I'm saying? It's difficult to stop him when he's going with that type of physicality. He needs to continue to play that way. And when he goes with that type of physicality to the basket, it creates what you want to say is like a panic amongst the other team. You know what I mean? Because now it's like, oh my gosh, someone's at the rim right now. You know what I'm saying? Someone's at the rim right now. And we got to stop them. So boom, they collapse hard. And when they collapse hard, boom, you spray that thing out. It makes it a little bit more difficult to get back out there when you close out. So I really do like Julius Randle attacking the way that he's attacking. And now, the past couple of games, he's been shooting well from the 3-point line, 3 for 6 tonight. I wish, I don't know. I'm not even going to go backwards and say I wish he did this all season long. I ain't even going to go backwards. He's doing it right now. And hopefully he realizes that when I play with this type of aggression, it works for me. You know what I mean? Tony Crow, what's popping, man? How you feeling?
What's good, Sim?
Chilling.
You hear me good?
Yeah, you good.
Cool. Shout out to the chat. Go back this time. It's crazy because you say you don't want to go backwards. And as I'm watching this game and I'm watching the collapse, right? But I'm really like focused on things like you said about Randall, things about RJ, and I can't help but think. Now, granted, any trade to make the team better, I'm for it. But if we come back with this same team, I'm confident that the season will go a different way. I'm confident that these guys are gonna get better, and what we're seeing is proof of what they can be. Even with this loss, you know what I mean? But the collective of the last 20 games or so, the team has been playing better. Right. I was saying it early in the losing streak, and people was, acting like I was crazy. But
yeah, so check it, Tony.
Little things I could see.
We talked about this the other day, and I hadn't said it publicly yet, right? Because I didn't want to get the fans I'm gonna say it now, and both of us are probably going to get tomatoes thrown at us. I could dig it. Throw it at me, I'll make tomato soup. That's how I do. Anyway, I do think if this team comes back, they're going to be a lot better next year with this team. Am I saying like top 4 seed, top 6 seed? I don't know, but I think they'll be better. You know what I mean? Because the chemistry is going to be better. They're going to understand what to do a little bit more. You can see them understanding it now, right? And then they come back with a point guard, hopefully, right? They come back with a point guard, and I do think, I agree with you. I think they come back as a better basketball team, if this group comes back next season, and I think most of these guys are coming back next season. So I definitely agree with you there. And I know that's not what the chat wants to hear. You know what I mean? They want to hear trade Randall, and, they want to see us, blow a top, to trade this guy and fire Tibbs and all of that. But, that's just the way I see it. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts on the way Randall played tonight?
Well, I missed the first quarter, but what I've seen is exactly what you said, aggressiveness. He's been on this stretch of bully ball, which kind of was his MO, early in his career or even his first year here. And I think he kind of lost that somewhere along the way, and he found it again. I definitely love his aggression. He's fighting more. I'll be honest, like I didn't notice a lot of the knocks on him throughout the season, and I noticed some as of recently this year or throughout this year, and he still has that, so I get some people's frustrations, but he just got to click to another level, which I'm confident he could do. You know what I mean? The late game situation is probably, I don't know how you train for that, you know what I mean? But that's the next thing that he's gonna have to figure out.
Yeah, I think the late game situation is more mental. I don't know if you train your body for it. I think it's mental training, you know what I mean? And not just, feeling like you got too much pressure, but understanding the basketball game, understanding that the pressure is going to pick up a little bit more, and understanding what you have to do when that pressure picks up. Tom Thibodeau talks about it all the time. Don't fight pressure with pressure. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you got to find the release valve. You know what I mean? When you're in that fourth quarter, find the release valve. You know what I'm saying? Who's the release valve? And sometimes that comes with moving the ball, figuring out who's open once you move that ball to still, because when when in the fourth quarter, defenses get more aggressive, right? And it becomes harder to move the basketball. There's no doubt about that. It becomes harder to move because, guys are jamming up the cuts. They're playing tighter on their man, et cetera, et cetera. But if you can move the ball, you can find the release valve on that pressure.
Yep.
Because somebody's going to be released, especially if you're able to penetrate and still kick. The thing is, when you penetrate, the execution has to be there. Like I seen tonight in the fourth quarter, Julius Randle penetrates, he kicks it out to R.J. Barrett, but it wasn't a great pass, and R.J. Barrett, I don't know if he was ready or not, but, he overjudged where the pass was going to be. A mistake on both parties. That's part of execution.
And the reverse happened.
Right. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So that's part of execution. That's part of the game getting slower. You know what I mean? And it's not just the game getting slower for one person, but the game getting slower as a team. So there's a lot. So I think with Julius Randle executing in the fourth quarter and becoming a guy that you can really rely on in the fourth, which he hasn't been. Last year he was. This year, not as much. Even last year, though, he had trouble in late game situations. He had trouble making big shots, right? He'd get on the free throw line and he'd miss it. You know what I mean? And, it's extended into this season as well.
And two things. One, I think the difference was the ball was in Rose's hand, and Rose made the decision to give it to Randle. You know what I mean? Rose made the decision to find Burks. So Randall would get those shots and make them when it was based off of someone else's making that decision.
Right.
And it came to a point, well, once Rose came, it kind of became Rose's job to kind of make those decisions at the end of the game.
And Rose, I don't mean to cut you off, but Rose was also, I just talked about how when Randall plays aggressive, it puts the defense in a state of emergency when he can get to the rim that hard. Rose can also get to the rim like that. You know what I'm saying? And this is no knock against RJ. When RJ gets to the rim a little bit differently than those guys. RJ, the way he gets to the rim is a little bit more methodical, which means that the defense can prepare for him getting to the rim a little bit more. You might not be able to stop him, right? But it's not such a state of emergency. It's not such a panic because, he's got the guy on his back getting to the rim. So the defense is like inching in. And now when you can inch in, you can be ready for the kick. When somebody just gets to the basket real hard, you don't have time really to get ready for the kick, because you got to be in a state of emergency to get to the basket. That's the difference. That's not a knock on RJ. That's just the way he plays. You know what I'm saying? And as long as it's doing a job and he's able to score, because that also helps RJ to be able to score when he's getting to the basket, because with him taking his time, going at a slower pace to get to the basket, guys don't commit so suddenly. So now he can all of a sudden, I'm at a slow pace, and then boom, change of pace, get to the cup and score. You know what I mean? So, it's a little bit different in that regards. So I'm not knocking RJ in that, but, Rose does the same thing. And so having two guys out there that can do that, put that kind of pressure on the rim, I think is troublesome for teams. I mean, you see the way Ja Morant is able to do that.
I was just about to say that.
I'm saying,
and how troublesome we with tonight.
Yeah, and how troublesome it is. But still, I think in the fourth quarter, for Julius Randle to get better in the fourth quarter, it's going to come down to the mental part of his basketball game. Slowing the game down. Like the game can go slow for Randle in three quarters, and then in the fourth quarter, it might seem like it's sped up to him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying this is exactly what I know about him. I'm just saying what I see. So I think, that's going to be how he learns how to execute in the fourth. It's the mental part.
Agreed.
The mental part. And then having somebody else out there that can release the pressure. RJ's becoming that guy, a third guy, too. Alec Burks is out there, but I don't think he puts the pressure on the rim like someone like Derrick Rose does. And then having someone out there to settle things down when it's too wild.
Yeah.
That's where that guard comes in.
Which unfortunately is hard. It's hard to get from a young guy or a rookie. Like most of the time you got to be established. You know what I mean? To actually even fill that role.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the game, and what I saw was, I'll say both our heroes, RJ and Randall, tried to kind of hero ball our way down the stretch.
I agree.
And it's a fine line between figuring out when you got, because at times that's what we need. We've seen it from RJ before. We've seen it from Randall before, right? So at times we do need that, but it's a fine line of trying to figure out when we should do that or when we should actually really use the full team. I think in this particular moment, that's what we lacked down the stretch. Quickly got that three to kind of like stop their run at one point, or I think it might have even regained us the lead, and the ball never got back to him. You know what I mean? Like for the rest of the game, like and I don't think it was intentional. I think it's a fine line of when you have that ability to know when to use it. And I saw this, and again, this is no knock, but Randall took a couple of opportunities So then when RJ had his first, you know what I mean? He wasn't looking for nothing else.
Right.
And so that plays a part in it. And that's not a knock on either one of them. It's just, you know what I mean? Sometimes that happens,
Right.
especially when you got two guys that have that ability.
Right. And this where it leads back to having the person, and I seen Kevon in the chat just, said, that's what we don't have in the fourth. Having that person to settle us down is such a key. It's such a key because Randall's not the guy to do it. You know what I mean? To settle us down. Having that person to settle this team down. And that's why I still think, and I'm sorry, and you can throw some more tomatoes. This time I'll make spaghetti sauce with it. You know what I mean? You can throw some more. I'll take them. You know what I mean? I'll take them. They're expensive in the stores now anyway because the gas is going up. So throw all the tomatoes you want. But this is where I'm like, if you get a guy, you get a point guard that can do those things, I think this team comes back better next year. You know what I'm saying? Because you're seeing glimpses of what they can do. They can't close. They can't close. If you go back and look at the number of the games this season where the Knicks had the opportunity to close and they didn't close, and I'm talking, you guys seen it, we're talking double-digit leads, and then to win games that they're supposed to win, like over Orlando, et cetera, et cetera. And those things are right there within this team's grasp. That's why I'm saying that. It's right there within the grasp. It's not like it's far off. Because the Knicks have had double-digit leads over some good basketball teams and lost them. So, anyway, Spree, what's popping?
Oh, Sam, I wanted Deuce McBride to come back in. And I'm not saying he played great. I understand he gave up one where Ja looked at him in the face and said, "I got you." I don't care. I don't care. I wanted him to play more. That's just me. I'm not saying Deuce McBride, we win the game. I can't say that. But what I can tell you is I know he can try to guard people. And Ja got off. Once RJ went out, Deuce McBride only played 11 minutes tonight. Was Deuce McBride that bad to only play 11 minutes? Maybe I'm missing something.
I didn't get a chance to see parts of the game because I was at a basketball banquet, so I didn't get a chance to see parts of the game. So I can't really answer that.
I wanted him to come in late in the game. That's just me. I don't understand. Look, Burks makes big shots. I get it. But we lost this game at the end of the third quarter. Let me also get to Fournier right now. I don't want to see him play anymore. Like, you look at Fournier's box score and you're like, why are you so mad? He went 3 for 8, whatever. No, if you watch that game, all of his missed shots were turnovers and led to fast breaks the other way. He took some of the most crazy – he thought he was J.R. Smith pulling up from the parking lot on some of those threes that led to turnovers. He had a bad turnover to end the third quarter. He had a floater sim that he airballed. Fournier, I can't watch Fournier play anymore. I can't. I can't do it. I can't, Sim. He drives me nuts even when he scores.
Who else you putting out there right now?
Anybody. I don't enjoy watching him when he even scores baskets. And that's hard for me.
Okay. I mean, I didn't see all of the game, so I can't, I got to see, some of the third and fourth, so I can't comment on everything that Evan Fournier did. But for most of the game, the Knicks and Fournier had to be doing something right because he didn't play in the fourth. So something had to be going right.
I mean, we had the game. We were up 15.
That's what.
You're up 15.
That's what I'm saying.
I put this on tips too. I'm not just putting it on the players. Like, you do that play with RJ to end. Like, look, yeah, we all know it's coming. The defense knows it's coming. It's been effective at times, but late in games against really good players and good defenders, you got to run more stuff than just the RJ little weave play going hard line to the basket.
That
Everybody
was
knows
RJ's fault, not Tibbs' fault. The defense collapsed. There's 4 people in the paint. He still took the shot. He didn't look for anybody. So that's not Tibbs' fault.
Yeah, I know, but I agree with you. I agree with you, Tony. I'm not saying it's Tibbs' fault on that specific play because you gotta spray it. RJ's got to make a better read. But what I'm saying is I don't think this team has enough stuff that they go to late in games other than predictable things.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that's been all season long, and not just on the offensive side, but the defensive side as well. You know, I don't think that they have enough tools in the tool belt. You know what I mean? And so I definitely agree with you there. But listen, Evan Fournier played the entire third quarter. The Knicks were up 9 at the end of the third quarter. 9 points now. And I know, you're saying, you're upset. You don't like the way he plays and this and that. But he doesn't play in the fourth quarter. And I'm not saying that the Knicks lost the fourth quarter because of Evan Fournier. What I'm saying is the Knicks were doing something right leading up to the fourth quarter.
He played, he played well in the third quarter. My issue with Fournier, honestly, was in the first half. I think we gave up 61 in the first half, it was 61-56 at halftime. My issue with Fournier was, aside from one three-pointer that he heaved that he didn't deserve a foul call, the refs gave us a call that Fournier really didn't deserve. It wasn't a foul. The rest of his shots and his defense we know is bad, atrocious. But he was taking horrible shots that led to turnovers and fast breaks the other way. He gave the Grizzlies 10 points on all those missed threes. And these weren't just missed threes, Sims. He was trying to play ISO like J.R. Smith with two guys on him just doing crazy stuff, clearing out people like he told RJ to clear out last Friday versus the Suns. Fournier has no feel. He has no good feel. He's got to be set up, and he'll miss shots, he'll make shots, but he has no feel for if you put him I'm just frustrated. Look, they don't have it. Tibbs drives me nuts. We can't close. We don't have a point guard. I get the whole thing, Sim. I get it's going downhill, and they played hard. John Moran is tough, but my issue is you can't just play hard against really, really good players. You have to play smart, and they don't know how to execute. I
mean, that's the thing. That's where the floor leader comes in. And that's one of the – there's a couple of things that I think this team is missing, this particular team right here. I think that Deuce McBride and Jericho Sims adds a little bit of one thing, and that's a glue guy, right? I think they are glue pieces. Jericho Sims and Deuce McBride, I think they're glue pieces. I don't know if Jericho Sims is going to, have this same role next season, but Deuce McBride, I think, is a glue piece. I also think Quentin Grimes is kind of a glue piece, although he can knock down the three. So those are areas right there. Those two players are glue pieces, kind of like Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock were last season. Except I think both of those guys can give you a little bit more than Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock. You know what I'm saying? And, of course, they're rookies, but, speaking next season in the future, they can probably give you a little bit more, but they're glue guys. So I think the Knicks are missing glue guys. And obviously a floor leader.
Yeah.
Those are two things that they're missing. Glue guys and a floor leader, right? Glue guys that are getting minutes on the floor, because Taj Gibson is a glue guy now. But when they're healthy, he's probably going to be situational. Right. Jericho Sims, when the Knicks are healthy, is going to be situational. Deuce McBride, we'll see what happens from here. But I think he is a glue guy, and I think Quentin Grimes is a glue guy. Clearly, the roster has got, some clutter's got to be cleaned up on this roster. But those guys are glue guys, and you need a glue guy. You need glue guys, and then you need, a floor leader out there.
I'm with you, Sim, and I'll leave you with this. No, you're right. We're not there yet. We need stuff. I'm just saying, in my opinion, coming into this game, I thought Deuce McBride needed to have a big part in the game plan to be able to stop John Moran. You're not going to stop him. Yes, he got beat on one really bad play that Ja even trash talked to him. I didn't care because Deuce was trying to do the right thing. To only play 11 minutes, in my opinion, I was upset about it. I'm not saying he would have won the game. I'm not saying he could have made mistakes. He could have looked bad. Nobody was guarding John Moran. Nobody. And I wanted him to have more time out there. That's all I'm saying. I'm disappointed. That's all I got.
Appreciate it, Spree.
All right, man.
I mean, Ja Morant he's Ja Morant, but he did have to take 33 shots to get his, 37 points. It's not like he had great efficiency. 42.4% from the field, 25% from three. He had 8 assists. Obviously, with the 8 assists, he's getting to the basket and he's kicking it out and he's finding people. No doubt about it. I understand that, But, again, were the Knicks going to have a bigger lead than 15? That's what I'll keep going back to. Were they going to have a bigger lead than 15 if they, didn't play Fournier or Deuce played more in the third quarter or whatever? I don't know. I don't think so. I think, 15-point lead, that's a decent lead. 9-point lead going into the fourth quarter. You got to figure out how to close it out and not lose by, you lost by 4, but, allowed them to get like a 7-point lead, right? That's a 16-point turnaround. 16-point turnaround. I want to give a shout out to Nikki B from Harlem. And I think he made a comment that's, pretty spot on. He said, we can't discuss Julius in the fourth without discussing minutes. He played 40 minutes tonight. He gets tired. We got to limit him to 33 to 35 minutes like other power forwards. I agree. I do agree. And I think Tom Thibodeau brought him in early in the fourth quarter, right? Like the top of the fourth quarter, about 9 or 10 minutes left. He brought him in. Where he, maybe, and I guess he was getting a little bit scared because of what was going on with the lead. Right? So I think that's the reason why he brought him in. Up until that point, he had played probably 20-something minutes, almost 30 minutes. Normally, he would have came in 6 minutes left and then finished it out. I think Tom Thibodeau got a little bit scared. What was going on with the lead out there. And so he brought him back in. I do agree Julius Randle gets tired. I don't think Julius Randle should be playing 9-minute stretches. I think he should be playing 6-minute stretches. You know what I'm saying? Or 7-minute stretches or something like that. Because of his, so there's 2 reasons. His body type. He's not like a super thin guy. Like you look at a Ja Morant, he's thin. Thin guys like that, they don't tire out. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have a lot of weight to jug around. Randall's like 250. It's a lot of weight to jug around. You know what I mean? And then, Julius Randle, like with Ja Morant, someone like Ja Morant, guys like this, they don't have to do as much work to get their shot off. Guys like Julius Randle, he's got to do a little bit more work because he doesn't have the natural athleticism that a Ja Morant has. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. But if you're the coach, Tony, if you're the coach and you see your league dwindling and Julius Randle has been playing a good game, what are you doing? You're muted.
All right, there you go. In this particular game, I understood why he did it. Like I wasn't mad. I wasn't thinking about Randall's minutes per se, but I think that is a good point about him playing, 38, 40 minutes every game. And I mean, I've been hearing that in the chats all year long. And again, it's a learning, you know what I mean? Like Tibbs has to figure that out, but also somebody has to come in and show that he could trust them.
Right.
The bench was outscored, like 17 to like 30 something, I believe. So it's yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a fine line. Tibbs ain't perfect. The players ain't perfect. You know what I mean? Like, they got to figure it out together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Julius Randle had 30 points going into the fourth quarter. Right? He was shooting 45% from the field.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you see your lead dwindling. You're like, you know what? My guy's playing well. Let's get him back in there. Especially, and I'm not blaming RJ, but RJ wasn't shooting well.
No.
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't shooting well. Both of those guys go 1 for 5 in the fourth quarter. Both of them, RJ and Julius, go 1 for 5 from the fourth quarter. What do you do there? He wants to win this game. He knows the implications of the game. So it's like, let me get my guy in. See if he can bring us home tonight. Didn't happen. Tricky Nicky, what's up, man?
Hey, how did you know it was me?
I got magic ears. I heard your voice, man.
That's tricky.
Well, my problem is, how do we get out-blocked 16-6?
Man. That's
they were blocking every shot.
everything.
And then you look at it. If I'm looking at the box score and I'm going, okay, we got out-blocked 16-6. And then I go, oh, we had 16 turnovers. They had 10. Okay, makes sense. But then the one thing I said, Sim, was Mitchell Robinson needed 5 offensive boards. He had 8. But yet this team decided to rebound 54 to 53. We didn't really out-rebound them. We didn't control the boards.
It's even.
And I'm looking at Bear
even.
and Randall, and I'm looking at Bear especially, 9 of 25.
Right.
That's terrible.
All right, 36%.
I mean,
here's the thing.
Randall, 11 of 27.
Yeah, here's the thing.
That's terrible.
Here's the thing. If your team is not, if you're going to the basket and you're getting blocked, right? So every time you get in the lane, you're getting it put back, you're getting it sent back. You got to find another way to score, right? Here's where I think we missed Obi tonight or Cam.
I don't know why you say Obi.
I'm going to tell you why. Because if the Knicks, I think the Knicks could have went small a little bit against this team. Right? I really do. I think they could have went small and maybe even changed the game up a little bit. Because in the fourth quarter, they didn't have anybody.
We had the free throw. Advantage.
Right.
If you look at it.
But check out what I'm saying. Right?
Okay.
Jaren Jackson Jr. is 6'11". Big guy, can block shots, et cetera, et cetera. If you go small with an Obi, because we don't have a center that can shoot the ball from the outside, you can stretch Jaren Jackson Jr. out so he's not lurking around the paint. See,
Obi was hurt, though.
Yeah, I know that. But this is where I'm saying I think a guy like Obi hurts us, because while Obi does not shoot that well from the three-point line, he will shoot it, and he can knock it down from time to time. So Jaren Jackson Jr. has to respect
15% of the time.
Hey, but you know what? He has to respect that he can knock it down, because they've seen that he can knock it down. Mitch isn't going to shoot it at all.
Where you're going.
Mitch is going to hang in the dunker spot. So if you're hanging right in that short corner in the dunker spot, Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't have to go far to try to get a block. And other guys, you know what I'm saying? And this is where with Mitchell Robinson, and I'm not trying to talk bad about Mitch, but this is where it does hurt the Knicks. When you have guys that can block shots like this, and you have someone on the floor that has to be around the basket, because they're not going to respect any of his perimeter play, it allows them to clog the lane a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? Where when you can have all 5 of your guys who have the ability to shoot from the outside, then it changes, right? Because now you have to respect that guy and his ability to shoot from the outside.
So you're talking strictly Obi.
Well, I mean, Obi or Cam, if he was playing, because Cam can shoot from the outside, because Tom Thibodeau has gone small with Cam. You know what I mean?
If I look at it, the real problem tonight was you got Mitchell Robinson 16 boards.
Yeah.
4 blocks.
Yeah.
No points. He wasn't scoring. And then if you look at that third quarter, we were really good. Like, I felt like, oh my God, here we go. Knicks are doing it again. We're going to get this third quarter. We're going to roll into the fourth and do what we did to Dallas or Sacramento. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen at all.
Right.
And the reason it didn't happen, to be honest, we didn't control the boards. We out-rebounded them 54-53. That's sad.
But they're a team that can rebound the ball too. You know what I'm saying? At least we out-rebounded them. In the fourth quarter, they out-rebounded us.
Yeah, but I'm saying the guys they got on the floor, though, we should be able to out-rebound those dudes.
They're
I know Steven Adams is a monster. He only had 9 tonight.
Yeah.
But we were getting out-rebounded by shooting guards and point guards.
Listen, teams are going to work. They're going to hustle too. We out-rebounded them. I don't know if you expected us to out-rebound them by 20. I think, in my opinion, the reason we lost that fourth quarter is because we had 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter. We shot 27% from the field and 20% from the three-point line. If you shoot like that and you turn the ball over, you're not going to win the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and when they did that,
comes down to that.
Like, we lost the fourth quarter 31-18.
Right.
And if you're going to turn the ball over after, like, we had the lead. Like, if you look at the third quarter, it was 40-26, New York.
Right.
And then you go to the fourth quarter, we just gave it away.
Yeah, I know.
To me, it kind of reminds me of when the Knicks are up by 20 and giving it away.
Right. I get it. I get it, Tricky. I get it. I appreciate your call. Thank you for your time. But, Tony, fourth quarter, you shoot 27%. You're not going to win. It's not going to happen. You're going to allow a team back in the game. And we've seen a lot of times this season when the Knicks have that quarter where they just can't shoot. Shoot. We've seen it too many times. Alec Burks tonight, he had 18 points. We talked about him in the game preview. He seems like he's beginning to get in gear. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts on Alec Burks tonight?
I said it. He's playing better. I said it like yesterday or the day before. I think everybody is playing better. You know what I mean? Everybody's playing they're like all in the midst of their best stretch of the season. You know what I mean? I gotta say something. It's a little bit off topic, but I just hope the people that realize, because I don't hear enough people talk about, like, everybody want to talk about Fire Tibbs and he's doing such a bad job. Everybody talk about play the young guys, like the young guys aren't getting opportunities at all. And then when you talk about 6 turnovers in the fourth quarter, I believe Sims had 3 of them. You know what I mean? He got his opportunity, bad matchups, whatever it is. But these are moments where he didn't have to put Sims in. You also mentioned you wish you saw small ball. So maybe small ball would have been the way to go, and then Sims don't get minutes, and then people complaining about that. But then he gets the minutes, gets 3 turnovers, shows that, you know what I mean, this is why Tibbs don't really rely on rookies, but nobody ever talks about that. You know what I mean? So it's just, it frustrates me that people are so pigeonholed into whatever mindset or narrative they want to run with, and they don't even look outside the spectrum or outside the box. Like, there's a whole game within the game going on. There's a whole, you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy.
Let me ask you this: does it concern you that you got a bunch of guys playing at their best right now, or playing at the top of their game, and it led to 3 wins in a row, but they still drop games like this, and they're playing, and you got guys. Well, I mean, obviously tonight RJ didn't play at his best. Julius Randle played well. I don't know if it was at his best. Alec Burks played well. But, you said, over a stretch, right? You got guys playing at their best over a stretch. Probably the best stretch of basketball that Randall's played. The best stretch of basketball that Emmanuel Quickly's played. The best stretch of basketball that RJ Barrett has played. We're coming into the best stretch of basketball that Alec Burks has played. Does it concern you that these guys are playing their best basketball? The Knicks, are still over that stretch, 3-5.
Oh, I mean, it concerns me because I feel like the stretch extends into some of the losses. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the losses before we even got on this win streak. So it concerns me. But honestly, my mindset is more into next year. I love that they're fighting. I love that they're giving it their all. If they could fight their way into a 10th seed, great. I think that's all good for them. But I am, you know what I mean? Like that's why I'm like, I think if they come back with the same team, they're gonna be better. I'm actually happy with Sims getting his minutes and getting the experience. Obviously I'm not happy with the performance, but I'm not mad at him. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna go at him because of it. I'm not gonna go at Tibbs for putting him in either. Like Margaret, I forget her name, but Margaret in the chat, she's like, it's the second year of a rebuild, and people were like spazzing out. And to be honest, this only spazzing because of what happened last year. You know what I mean? They overachieved last year and gave like a glimmer of hope. And this is part of what I was saying about, I knew this was coming, whether it was, let's say we were in the play-in right now.
Uh-huh.
People would be just as angry, saying the same exact comments. You know what I mean? They wouldn't even be satisfied with that. So you gotta realize every year is different. Like there's different terms, like injuries. Like nobody factors that in. Like Noel played 20-something games this year.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
That's without a doubt. Every year has its own story to it, right? Every year has its own story to it.
But I was more upset during the losing, like during that 3 wins in 20 game stretch, because you know what I mean. Like we were losing.
Right.
Now I've kind of come to terms with whatever it is. It is. I just want to see. I love that they're still fighting. You know what I mean. I love that they haven't given up.
Folded.
You know what I mean.
Yeah. Me too. Ladies and gentlemen, the Knicks, you heard Tricky Nicky talking about it. The Knicks win the rebounding battle, actually, 54-53, although it didn't result in a win of the basketball game. They did win that rebounding battle, though, for the most part. You know what I mean? They may not have got the rebounds when they needed them. They won the rebounding battle. 23 assists for both teams. 8 steals for both teams. The Knicks, 6 blocks. The Memphis Grizzlies, 16 blocks on the night. That's tough because, they were throwing everything back. Everything. They were throwing it back. The Knicks, 16 turnovers. The Memphis Grizzlies, 10. The Knicks shot 42.2% from the field. The Grizzlies, 44.7%. 40% from 3 for the New York Knicks. 34.6% for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Knicks, 75.7% from the free throw line. And the Grizzlies, 58.6%. And they almost gave the Knicks a chance to really be back in the game by missing a couple of free throws down the stretch. Points in the paint. Tony, the Memphis Grizzlies had 72 points in the paint. That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when
That's a
you
lot.
got that guy that is literally penetrating every single time, like you said, I mean, that's difficult to read. That's difficult to stop. One of the most concerning things about this team is when they go in and they seem to have stretches where one guy could kill you for, you know what I mean, for a stretch, and they'll just keep going to that guy, and it, it seems like when they get to that point, they get scared. They don't need, like, nobody wants to step up. You know what I mean? Nobody. It becomes switch everything. Now, granted, the pick and roll has a large part to do with that. I think it's utilized a lot against the Knicks too, and it doesn't help when you switch everything every time. But I hate to see, like, even the dude on the Nets that kind of just took over the game for them, and they kind of was like, all right, keep giving it to him, keep giving it to him. The Knicks have problems with that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I see some people in the chat, saying that the refs wasn't giving the Knicks the calls. A lot of those blocks were fouls. Hey, listen, you got to adjust. Every game, the refs are going to call the game differently. You got to adjust. Bottom line, you got to adjust. You got to figure out a way. If they're allowing them to bump and foul, then you got to figure out, okay, they're allowing them to bump and foul. How can I use that to my advantage? Or what else am I going to do when I'm out there?
To be honest, that's what the Grizzlies did, because they was the ones complaining about the lack of calls. They was the ones, you know what I mean, getting upset because they felt like either they was getting ticky-tack calls or they weren't getting calls, and then guess what? They adjusted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They started putting pressure on the refs. Like, all right, I'm gonna just keep making you make a decision.
Right. But listen, man, the Grizzlies, 72 points in the paint. They find a way to win. They just figure it out. The other day, Andy said the other day they scored 46 points in transition. Whatever it is that they got to do, they figure out how to get it done. You know what I mean? That's something that I like about this team. They figure out how to get it done, and that's why, they're the number 2 team in the Western Conference, and they got the second best record in the league overall. They figure out a way to get it done. The Knicks, they have trouble doing that. Fast break points, 17 for the Memphis Grizzlies, 14 for the New York Knicks. And off of turnovers, I want to see how many points. The Grizzlies scored 16 points off of the Knicks' 16 turnovers. No, I'm sorry. The Grizzlies scored 17 points off of the Knicks' 16 turnovers. And the Knicks scored 16 points off of the Grizzlies' 10 turnovers. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. Yeah.
On to the next one.
But here you go, though. Bench points. The Memphis Grizzlies had 37 bench points. The Knicks only had 15. 15 points off the bench. And in the game preview, we talked about Quickly and that the Knicks would need Quickly, to play well. He had 11 points. Only 8 shot attempts tonight for Quickly. 11 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. And then you had 4 points from Taj Gibson. You got to get more points off the bench. The problem is you're not relying on Deuce to get those points. You're not relying on Jericho Sims, and you're not relying on Taj Gibson. So all of that is on Emmanuel Quickly right now. The way that it is right now, it's all on Quickly to get those points off the bench.
Him and Taj, only ones that scored.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And that becomes tough because if you got Quickly, obviously RJ Barrett's going to play some with Quickly, but if RJ Barrett's not scoring, right, you got 2 guys in that second unit. If RJ Barrett is out there with the second unit, you got 2 guys in the second unit that they're going to key in on. And if those guys aren't hitting, you know what I mean, you're getting nothing from the bench at all. And this is where, obviously, when we talk about next season and you get a point guard in, Alec Burks can go back to that bench and be a scorer off the bench. Hopefully Derrick Rose is there, can help score off the bench. It definitely changes, but the Knicks got to keep pushing. They got to keep going. I want to see him continue to fight and scrap come down the stretch of this season. And there are going to be people, I know, we talked about in a previous show, if the Knicks can continue to get up for these games, do you look at that as a positive thing? And we all kind of agreed on the panel, like, yeah, because it's hard when you're down the stretch of the season and you're losing basketball games, you're not in the hunt, et cetera, you can lose some of that energy. People say, oh, now you're giving out participation awards, et cetera. And it's like, no, it's not that we're giving out participation awards, but it's easy for a team to pack it in when you get to this point of the season. And if you're not in contention for anything, it can be easy to pack it in. And if you can continue to get up game after game after game, even if you're out of it, it means something. You know what I'm saying? It does. And we've seen time and again teams that at the end of one season get it together and come back better the next season. Say what you want, say what you will. People gonna be, whatever. It's cool. You know what I mean? But I want to see him continue to just go ahead and fight down the stretch of this season. Try to get better and build something for the next season. That's all you can really do. That's all you can really do when you're out of it. Obviously, the Knicks are not out of contention for that 10th spot. They're still battling for it. But their next game, ladies and gentlemen, it's gonna be a tough one. Right? They play Brooklyn on Sunday at 1 p.m. All right? The Brooklyn Nets right now, they've won 2 in a row? Something like that? Yeah, they've won 2 in a row. They got KD back. They're trying to get it in gear. They're currently in the 8th spot in the Eastern Conference. I'm sure they're looking above them and saying, hey, we might be able to reach that 6th spot, and I'm sure they want to. Cleveland Cavaliers are currently in the 6th spot. They're 38-28. Tony, your thoughts on this game coming up on Sunday? And by the way, we're going to do another watch-along on Sunday. So those who are NBK members, be on the lookout for the link. We're going to do another watch-along. It was dope the last time. We had some people jump in there. And, yeah, you know what I mean? You can ask them about it, if you want to know about it. But, we'll watch the game together, talk about the game, et cetera, have a good time. It's cool. It's dope. So make sure you join us on that watch-along if you're an NBK member. Look for the link in the community section, all right? It'll come out. But go ahead, Tony. Your thoughts on that Brooklyn Nets game? It's at 1 o'clock on Sunday.
I wish we got this one. I wish we was going in with some momentum.
Right.
Same kind of beast in KD. And, we're going to see one of his better performances. They're going to be confident coming off the win and the fashion of the win they got earlier in the season against us.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I'm just looking for a good fight. And, because I think if they play their best, they could win, honestly. You know what I mean? But they got to play their best. They got to limit their mistakes. They got to hit their free throws,
They got to execute down the stretch. They got to execute down the stretch.
There you go. That's the big one. That's the big one.
Execute down the stretch. Yeah, and it's going to be tough because the Nets, now with KD back, they're looking and saying, it's time to move up the standards. You know what I mean? We've been meddling down here in the play-in. It's time to move up the standards and get up out of this play-in because we don't want to take any chances. The playoffs kind of starts for them right now, too. Just like we're looking at this, the New York Knicks, I'm sure, they're looking at it and saying the playoffs, this is our playoffs, right? The Brooklyn Nets, they're not saying this is our playoffs. But, one, I'm pretty sure they want to stay above the Charlotte Hornets and the Atlanta Hawks, right? Because if you're in the 7th or 8th spot, you get 2 chances to get into the playoffs, right? Once you fall down to that 9th or 10th spot, 1 loss and you're out. You're in the 7th and 8th spot. You know, the 7 and 8 play each other. The winner becomes the 7th seed. And then the team that loses, they play against the winner of the 10th and 9th seeds, right? So the 7th and 8th seeds, they get 2 chances to get into the playoffs. So, you know, the Nets, they don't want to fall below that. And they're probably looking up thinking that they can get that 6th spot. Where if they get that 6th spot, they'll be playing the Philadelphia 76ers the way it is right now. They just beat the 76ers the other day. Right, so you know this is going to be, you know, it's going to be a heck of a game because I think both teams, the Knicks are looking to feel like they can get into the play-in, and the Nets feel like they can get to the 6th spot. So it's going to be a battle. It's all about playoff positioning right now coming down the stretch of this season. Yeah, it's going to be a fun, interesting game to watch. The Knicks right now, 28-39 on the season, 15 games left. And, you know, they're gonna be trying to battle it out. I think they're gonna battle it out all the way until they're mathematically eliminated. That's what they're gonna do. That's what I would expect them to do anyway. So, you know, the Knicks 4.5 games out of that 10th seed right now, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Tony, any other thoughts, man, before we get up out of here?
Not really, man. I mean, it was a hard-fought game. Like I said, the team is playing better. They got to figure some things out. I'm not upset. I'm not content with losing, but I'm content with watching the growth, and I see the growth. I wish more people saw the growth of you know, the entire team.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah, I hear you. You know what I mean? It's hard for people to see the growth of the team when you had expectations of winning this season or having a winning record, and then, you know, at this point you have a losing record. It's hard to see the growth. So people be like, what growth? What growth? You know, we lost. But you got to look at the growth within the season. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had the luxury of doing this season with my girls. I had the luxury of saying, don't worry about the scoreboard. We're going to focus on small things throughout the game, right? We're going to focus on keeping our turnovers down. We're going to focus on boxing out and rebounding. We're going to focus on increasing our shooting percentage. Obviously, all of these things lead to winning. But our goal wasn't on the final score. It was on the numbers within the game. The Knicks, you know, in the NBA, you don't have the luxury of doing that. Me, I was coaching a high school team that was starting from the ground up, all soccer and volleyball players. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we focused. And that's how we, you know, kept their attention throughout the season, you know, without becoming depressed that, you know, we were losing some games. Although, even though we lost some games, we ended up the number 1 seed in the state tournament. Not because we were focusing on the scoreboard, but because we were focusing on the small things throughout the season that can lead to success. And we're going to come in next year looking at the same type of things. We will, next year, we'll have a little bit, you know, some higher expectations. Now, you know, we're going to put some numbers on the wins now. You know, how many wins do we want to get? We're going to put some numbers behind that. But still, when we start to play, we'll focus on those small goals throughout the game. And that'll be what we focus on. I had someone tell me one time, I was coaching a team, and I had a parent who was upset because this was a brand new team and we were losing games. And he said, well, how come you don't make them run for the amount that they lost by? If they lose by 10, make them run 10 suicides. They lose by 20, make them run 20 suicides. I was like, because that doesn't do anything. Because you can play a perfect basketball game and still lose. So if we play a good basketball game and we lose by 3, I'm going to make them run 3 suicides for losing? No.
And Sam, what if y'all won by 20? What you supposed to do?
Right. Exactly.
You know
what I'm saying?
$20 each or something.
Right. You know, I ain't giving them $20 each. So, you know, so I had a different philosophy and still have. You know, we do the same things. You know, we focus on, I have a system that I use where, like, if we give up an offensive rebound, that's a lap for the team. But if we get an offensive rebound, we take away from, so let's say, for example, the other team got 10 offensive rebounds and we got 8, they got 2 laps. Okay? If we have 10 turnovers, but we got 15 assists, we don't have no laps because the assists take away from the turnovers. You see what I'm saying? So we have a system, where we do it that way. And then at the end of the day, at the end of the game, we look and say, oh, this is how many laps we got. And then we talk about each individual area and say, this is why we got laps here, we got laps here, we got laps here, we got laps there. You know what I'm saying? So the consequences come from the pieces of the game that can lead to victory, not the scoreboard. So that way, even if you win, you still look at it and say, yeah, we won the game, but we gave up 15 offensive rebounds.
Slaps.
You see what I'm saying? So it still is focused on development. And, so you got to be able to look at the development of a team throughout the season, not just the final record or the final scoreboard and things like that. You got to find things throughout the season to focus on development and growth. You know what I mean? And I think right now is a perfect time for them to focus on that development and growth. I don't know if they have those type of small goals, but I agree with you. I do see growth in the team. It's just, that it's coming at a bad time. You know what I'm saying? You want to see this kind of growth earlier so that they can win these basketball games and they can put themselves in position to be in the playoffs, but it's coming and I can see it. And, you want to see it continue to grow, and see how much better they can get going into next season. I think that's what you got to do because looking at the salary cap situation, this team's coming back. Couple of additions, couple of people will be gone, 1 or 2. There'll be some additions, probably a point guard, but most of the core of this team's coming back. So, yeah, that's how you got to try to grow with it. You know what I mean? People don't like to hear it, but I'll keep saying it. I'm going to keep saying it until you get it. I'm going to be like that bad song that's on the radio that every time it keeps coming on, you're like, this song sucks, but it comes on so much that now it's stuck in your head and you're singing it and you start to like it. That's what I'm going to do. Ha ha. Anyway, I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate your time. I will be doing a shoot around tomorrow. All right. Look, see, my numbers dropped big time. As soon as I started saying that stuff, my numbers dropped big time. People don't want to hear that. That's all right. That's cool. Anyway, tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, I'll do a shoot around tomorrow. Talk about this game a little bit more. Look at some other things. I appreciate you guys. It's 12:05. Get some rest. And, you know what I mean? I'll talk to you guys later. Be peaceful. I'm out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Spread love like normal. We gone.
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock. Who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Post-game reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.